Well, Chris Minns and Gareth Ward are known to you all. Chris Minns, the hope of the Labor side in New South Wales, and Gareth Ward, a superb intellect. He knows politics backwards. He won a seat in the New South Wales Parliament in historically Labor territory. And I think I'm right in saying he won every booth. It has been an extraordinary, almost shameful day in New South Wales politics when the sheer amateurism of some was in full view. But before I come to the panel, I had to go to a funeral, a very sad day last Friday in Gunnedah. A very generous friend lent me his plane. I had a function after that in the Southern Highlands. I asked the pilot if I could land at Albion Park, which is, for those of you across Australia, down Wollongong way. I had landed there before, virtually in a paddock, great big fence around the paddock, and the pilot always had a key to the padlock to let you out through the metal gate. Well, I landed, and there in front of me was the most astonishingly brand new Shell Harbour Airport terminal. Now, I've been through a few terminals around the world. This was as good as anything you'd ever see. So I said to the man in the orange jacket, how the hell did this happen? Who got the money for this? And his answer was, vaguely, or some politician. Knowing it was Gareth Ward territory, I volunteered his name, to which the bloke said, that's him. So Gareth Ward, to you first, well done. This is what I call outstanding service to the community. How'd you manage this? Link Airways, Shell Harbour to Brisbane, 2 hours?
It's a pretty schmick terminal, isn't it, Alan? It's not bad, and I'm glad you got to patronise it. But look, it's an example of the things that you can do as a local member, and I have had the enormous privilege of serving my community and trying to get things done for my electorate. But it's an example also of the investments we're making right across regional New South Wales. And can I say to anyone from the other states that might be experiencing lockdowns or closures, come to New South Wales, bring your money, but particularly come to the Illawarra and South Coast and spend up big.
Well, there you are. This is Link Airways. You can go from Shell Harbour to Melbourne in less than 2 hours, and Shell Harbour to Brisbane in 2 hours, over 30 flights a week. So there you are. Nice to see non-metropolitan Australia getting something. Now, the New South Wales Parliament.
Alan.
To these unbelievable scenes in the New South Wales Upper House, a woman screaming at everybody who thinks she should be president, Natasha Maclaren-Jones. She's been in the Upper House for about 12 years. Gladys Berejiklian wanted her as the president of the Upper House. This clip will tell you how unsuited she is. Have a look at this.
Order! 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 I call this House to order!
I seek the call.
I call this
Mr. Clark, I seek the call. I seek the call.
Order! 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 I call this House to order, and I ask the Honourable Peter Primrose to resume his seat immediately.
Chris Minns, what is going on here?
What a mess. Well, it was a mini coup last night, Alan, in the Upper House. I've never watched it before. It's normally like a retirement village, but it was like the South Korean Parliament. Look, I don't know Natasha Maclaren-Jones. She's been around for 12 years, apparently, but she sort of swanned in like Eva Peron, tried to usurp the people's seat, and it was a real display of born to rule, doing you all a favour mentality. I think, you know, democracy's been restored, thank goodness, and there's a new president in the Upper House now.
Gareth Ward, what is going on? Can I just, before you answer that question, talk in fact for the benefit of our listeners, not emotion? The issue is that Maclaren-Jones and her supporters argue she was, quote unquote, elected on March 29 to replace the outgoing president, Ajaka. The ballot was 20 votes to Maclaren-Jones, 14 to Primrose, and that's the Labor Party, and 8 informal. Maclaren-Jones supporters, in my view, can jump up and down all they like, but under the official document which governs procedures called New South Wales Legislative Council Practice, there is a long session on office holders and the election of the President of the Legislative Council. And it clearly says that a candidate is elected when that candidate gains, quote, a majority vote of the members present on the first ballot. A majority vote of the members present. Gareth, Maclaren-Jones did not get a majority vote. There were 42 present. She got 20. Primrose Labor got 14, 8 informal. That's why the mob was screaming, you have no authority, you have no authority, you're not the president, and so on. Your comment.
Oh, well, Alan, it's a very unedifying scene. I can understand why some people think that they should be abolished when you see scenes like that. But look, there was advice from the Crown Solicitor and also from Brett Walker QC, who made clear that when there's only two candidates, the person with the most votes wins. Now, clearly, that was Maclaren-Jones based on the legal advice. But, Alan, I think most of your viewers out there would be thinking, well, they're wasting all this time. Why don't they just get on with it and actually make some decisions, which I think is what people actually want. That's what I expect. I went into Parliament to get things done, not to carry on with some student political debate. Labor may have thought they had a great win with all of this, but frankly, we want to just get things done.
No, I mean, process is important, and I'm just checking here, page 200 of that document, which it says, if there are more than two nominees, no candidate gains a majority vote of the members present on the first ballot. And Maclaren-Jones didn't get that majority. Chris Minns, I mean, she was elected, so to speak, but not consistent with this practice, spelt out specifically on page 199 and 200. It gets worse, and I'll come to Gareth in a moment. These are serious issues. Matthew Mason Cox is a Liberal Upper House MP. He was nominated and he got a majority of the Upper House. He was a minister in the first Baird ministry. He was once an optometrist in Queen. He's no dope. He's got a Bachelor of Laws degree, Bachelor of Commerce. He won the University Prize at the University of New South Wales for banking law. He has now been expelled from the Labor Party. Chris Minns.
Well, he was expelled from the Liberal Party.
Liberal Party.
Look, I don't know what happened to a bit of...
before too long.
I don't know what happened to a bit of ambition and individuality. I mean, Menzies started the Liberal Party because he wanted to have individuals who are ambitious for themselves. That's what Matthew Mason Cox has done. I don't know him very well. But I have to say, I mean, to kick him out of a party because a bloke went for a promotion is an absolute overreaction from the New South Wales Premier. And we all know this. There's some politicians that toe the line, who follow the party line and never deviate from that. And there are others who are individual, who stand up and tell the public what they really feel. I think Matthew Mason Cox is in the latter group. And the fact that he's the president of the Upper House, impartial, his loyalty is to the Parliament and therefore the people, is a fantastic thing for our democracy. Well, I don't think political leaders should be involved in these things.
I just think it's unbelievable. Gareth, well, let's have a look at this clip again. Hang on, have a look at this clip again. Let's have a look at this clip again.
I seek the call. Mr. Clark, I seek the call. I seek the call.
I call this House to order and I ask the Honourable Peter Primrose to resume his seat immediately.
Unbelievable. Gareth, the Liberal Party should be grateful the council's endorsed another Liberal. And can I ask you, what kind of Liberal Party are we running where Malcolm Turnbull can badmouth the Prime Minister at every turn, undermine and white-ant him? He stays in the party. Matthew Mason Cox meets all the conditions of Legislative Council practice, becomes president by a majority, which I thought would be helpful to the Liberal Party, and he's been expelled.
Well, firstly, Alan, Chris talked about going for promotions. If someone even votes against the caucus decision of the Labor Party in the Parliament, they're expelled from the Parliamentary Labor Party.
Just answer this question here.
We don't enforce that sort of. We don't enforce that sort of standards. What I'd simply say, Alan, is that what I'd simply say is, Alan, I think when it comes to honesty and integrity, Natasha Maclaren has buckets of it. She stood up as our candidate. She's entitled to nominate for election. Labor chose to back another member of the Parliament, another bloke, as opposed to a woman who's got incredibly good credentials.
Gareth, you haven't answered my question. How can a Liberal Party, I'll ask you again, expel Matthew Mason Cox and not expel Malcolm Turnbull?
Well, Alan, I will allow people to make judgments based on people's honesty and their integrity. When people nominate against their own party for positions, I think people can see straight through them and any comments that they make adverse to the team that they said they are on and stick the knife in at the first opportunity.
All right. Well, look, we'll leave it there. There's lots of things I want to talk to you about. I do want to raise with you again next week the issue we didn't finish last week. We are still in the business where certifiers are approving buildings and paid for by the developers. Now, there's an Upper House inquiry into all of this. I think we might take that up next week. But thank you for both. It's been an unedifying spectacle, and I think those people watching us tonight would be absolutely staggered about what they've seen. But Gareth and Chris, thank you for your time.